President Biden's Supreme Court Commission met virtually for the third time this week, and once again, the debate about adding more judges to the nation's highest court took center stage. The 36-member commission listened to hours-long testimony from more than 24 experts on the court's nomination process, its makeup, and how long judges should serve. Among those testifying, a group of lawyers who often appear before the Supreme Court justices. They call proposals to pack the court with more judges counterproductive.
Increasing the number of justices represents an escalation of the problem, not a solution. And a larger bench could make arguments less productive, deliberations more difficult, and yield even more opinions with less clarity in the law.
The court has remained at 9 justices since 1869, and now that conservatives hold a 6-3 majority, some progressives like Nan Aron with the Liberal Alliance for Justice are pressuring the Biden administration to add more. She sees the current makeup of the court as a threat to democracy that needs reforming.
The court today is partisan, politicized, and anti-democratic. In fact, Republicans are using this undemocratic and partisan majority on the court to cement their own power and enact an unpopular agenda that they cannot achieve legislatively.
Commission members also heard testimony from those for and against justices serving on the bench for life.
Many respected scholars support staggered 18-year terms. While the potential benefits are real, I doubt it would be a panacea. 18 years is still a long time, and tying the court's membership to the results of each presidential election might actually ramp up partisan rhetoric and lead to even more contentious confirmation hearings.
Biden's Supreme Court Commission, formed in April, is made up of dozens of mostly liberal scholars and activists. Conservatives have blasted the president's proposal to overhaul the High Court. The commission planned 2 more public meetings, after which they will present their final report to the president in November. George Thomas, CBN News.
Thank you, George. And joining us now with more is Giancarlo Canaparo with the Heritage Foundation. Giancarlo, great to have you today. You know, some say reform is needed, others disagree. We just heard from your Heritage colleague there, John Malcolm. Tell us why you believe, like him, that the changes to the court would create more problems than it solves.
Yeah, well, one thing I'd like to start off with is challenging the underlying assumption that the Supreme Court is political. We heard that from Nan Aron. But when you look at what the Supreme Court does every term, politics can only possibly explain, at most, 10% of what the court does. The court hands down dozens of cases every term. The vast majority of them are either unanimous or split with only 1 or 2 judges in dissent. And when you factor in sort of a political lens and you look at the court's cases, only 10 at most. In fact, this term it was 7 cases. Only 7 or 8 cases can be explained as politics. So if you want to challenge the court as being political, you have to explain what the rest of the 90% of the court's docket is, and it's just not political. So that argument just doesn't hold up. And what this court packing push and court reform push is all about is the fact that Democrats have lost in the political arenas. They failed to earn enough seats in the Senate to push through Obama's nominees. They failed to earn enough seats in the Senate to stop Trump's nominees. And what this reflects is a willingness on the part of Democrats to take political fights into the constitutional arena. The Constitution sets sort of guidelines, if you will, in which we have our political fights, but the Democrats are willing to throw the Constitution out entirely to get at political victory that they want.
You know, looking back at history, does history prove or disprove that the court, as it stands with 9 justices, works?
Yeah, absolutely. We have had 9 justices for more than 160 years, with one brief blip during the Civil War, and it has worked. Over time, the justices are typically, it is a plurality of their cases, if not a majority, where they are unanimous. In fact, over time, in the recent last 30 years, that trend has only been positive. Now we're seeing a majority of cases, sometimes more than 60% of cases where the court is unanimous. They are more effective, more congenial, more unanimous than Congress is by miles. And in fact, they are the most unanimous, most collegial, and most trusted branch of government. They have been for more than 100 years, and that hasn't changed.
All right, Giancarlo Canaparo with the Heritage Foundation, we thank you for joining us, for your expertise, and for your time.
Thank you.
My pleasure.